All right, so today is April 7th, and we are going to be talking about area of composite figures and shaded regions. Okay, so I'm just going to warn y'all, this is probably going to be a longer video than most of my other ones have been, just because it's kind of longer problems to do and more steps, so just be aware, okay? So a composite figure, what that means is a figure that can be separated into regions that are basic plane figures. So like triangles, and that means like triangles, parallelograms, trapezoids, rectangles, circles, whatever. Okay. So basically it's like a bunch of shapes combined into one, and we just have to separate them to find area. Okay. So to find the area of the composite figures, we divide the regions and then find each area, then find the sum. Okay, so if we look at our first picture, just looking at it right away, I see a rectangle and I see a trapezoid. All right, so I'm actually going to call this rectangle 1. Okay, and then the trapezoid will be 2. So that just kind of helps me label my areas, so it helps me a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to do 1, which is my rectangle. And if y'all remember from last week, to find the area of a rectangle, you just do length times width. Length times width. Okay, well the length is 23. The width is 12. Multiply those together and I get 276. Okay, then my next shape is a trapezoid. Okay, and the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. Okay, well, I know my two bases because this is a rectangle, so that is 23. Okay, now the issue is that I need to find my height because they give me from the very top to the very bottom. But since it's a rectangle, I know that this is 12, so to find the height of the trapezoid, I just subtract and I get 6. So then I can solve, right? And I just plug that in straight into my calculator, 1/2 times 6 times 23 plus 15, and you should get 114. Now to find the entire composite area, we're just going to add those two together. And I get 390 centimeters squared for my final area. So all this is today is separating your shape into smaller shapes that we know how to find the area of, and then adding them together. Okay, so number 2. Okay, so I see parallelogram, and then I also see 2 semicircles, which just creates a circle, right? Okay, so here is my parallelogram. So I'm going to call that 1. And then 2 semicircles, they create a circle. So I'll call that 2. Okay, so this is 1, this is 2, and so is that. Okay, so 1 is our parallelogram. All right, and to find the area of a parallelogram, you just do base times height. Okay, I do want to talk about the base because from here to here is 6, and that's the radius of the circle. So from here to here is 6. So the entire thing is 12. So I get area is equal to 12. The height they give me, which is 5. So the area of the parallelogram is 60. Okay, so for my next region, okay, it's the circle. So 2 semicircles is an entire circle. So that's going to be pi r squared. And y'all, I told y'all before, you do not have to memorize these formulas. I can post a formula chart for you guys so you can print it out and have it handy for you. So pi, our radius is 6. So I get 36 pi, which is about 113.1. Okay, and then again, I just add those together. So area is equal to 60 plus 113.1. So that gets me 173.1 inches squared. Okay, number 3. Okay, so now I have 3 regions that I can see. So I have a semicircle, I have a rectangle, and I have a triangle. Okay, so I'm going to call this 1, 2, 3. So the first one I'm going to choose to do, it really doesn't matter, it's up to you guys which one you do first. I'm going to do the rectangle, and that's just length times width. Okay, the length is 9. Okay, my width, okay, well, if the entire thing is 26, I kind of got to do some math right here, right? Okay, so I know from here to here is 9. All right, and if I also draw in this radius, I know that is 9. So if I do 26 minus 9, that gets me 17. Okay, so that's my width. So area 9 times 17, and I get 153. Okay, then let's look at my triangle. Okay, and that formula is just 1/2 time equals base times height. Okay, my base, that's another radius, so that's going to be 9. So 1/2 times 9. Okay, my height, well, the width of the rectangle is 17. This little piece is 7, so this part, the height is going to be 10. So plug that in, I get 45. Okay, and then the last part is my semicircle. Okay, and that's just your circle area divided by 2. So that's 1/2 pi r squared. My radius is 9. Okay, and that gets me 9 squared is 81. Half of that is 40.5 pi. And then plug that in, and I get 127.23. Okay, and then to find the area of the entire thing, I'm going to add them all together. So 153 plus 45 plus 127.23. And I get 325.23 feet squared. Okay. So number 4, ice cream cone basically is what it looks like, right? So you have a semicircle, and then you have a triangle. Okay, so I'm going to call this 1, and then 2. So 1 is our semicircle. So 1/2 pi r squared. Our radius in this, well, the diameter is 16. So my radius is 8. I'm just going to plug that straight into my calculator. So I get 100.53. Okay, now let's talk about this triangle. So I know from here to here, that's a radius, so that's 8. I'm going to go ahead and draw in my height. I'm going to call my height h. Okay, now, I don't know it, but I can use Pythagorean theorem to solve for it. So I'm going to do h squared plus 8 squared is equal to 17 squared. So I get h squared plus 64 is equal to 289. H squared is equal to 225. So h is equal to 15. Okay, so then I can go back and solve for the area of my triangle because now I know the height is 15. So I'm going to do 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 of base, which is 16, not 8, times 15. And that gets me 120. So then add them together. And I get 220.53, and this one's meters squared. Okay, so I want to show y'all one more of these before we move to the next topic. So number 5. Okay, again, this one has a lot more areas, so we just got to break it down. Okay, so the first thing I see is a square. All right, and then I have a triangle. And then I have a trapezoid. Okay, so I'm going to call this 1. This one I'll call it 2. And then this one will be 3. So one is our square. An area of a square is just s squared. So whatever side you can find squared. So before I even do this, I do need to do some math in order to find the length of the square. And I'm going to do that by looking at my triangle. So I'm going to have to use Pythagorean theorem to solve x, this little piece right here. Okay, so that's going to be x squared plus 9.6 squared is equal to 12 squared. Okay, so I get x squared is equal to 51.84. So x is going to equal to 7.2. Okay, well that's just half of it. So this half is also 7.2. So the entire sides are going to equal to 14.4. And that's how I'll use it to find my area of the square. Okay, well 14.4 squared, plug it in, and you get 207.36. Okay. My second area is the trapezoid. So that's 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. Okay, well my height, again, I don't know. But from here to here is 14.4. So I subtract and I get 11. So from here to here is now 11. So that's the height of the trapezoid. One of the bases is 14.4, the other is 10. I'm good to go. Okay, so 1/2 times 11 times 10 plus 14.4, and I get 134.2. Okay, then my third area is the triangle. Okay, and I have my base, I have my height. Just make sure that y'all are using the entire base for the triangle, not just half of it. So that's 1/2, 14.4 times 9.6. All right, and I get 69.12. Add all three of those together. 1, 2, 3, add them together. And you should get 410.68, and this one is meters squared. Okay, so that's it if I have composite figures. Okay, the other topic on this, I know these notes are long, I'm sorry y'all. They just take a while. So the other topic is shaded regions. So to find the area of a shaded region, we find the area of the entire figure, and then we subtract the area of the shaded part. Okay, so what I mean, so if we look at number 6, so I want to find the entire area is the square, right? So my first thing is I'm going to do the square. And that's just s squared. So 25 squared, 625. Okay, then I want to find the area of the circle. Okay, well, in order to do that, I need to find the radius, which is half of 25, so that's going to be 12.5. Should be pi r squared. Sorry, y'all. One step ahead. So I get pi times 12.5 squared, plug it in, and you should get 490.87. Now I take the non-shaded area, subtract it from the shaded. So I'm going to do 625 minus 490.87. All right, and I get 134.13 feet squared. Okay, so number 7. So the entire thing is a rectangle, so that's 1. And the non-shaded part is a triangle, so that's 2. Okay, well, my rectangle, length times width, so that's just 25 times 14, and that's 350. Okay, my triangle, 1/2 base times height. Okay, my base is the entire thing, so that will be 25. The height they give me, which is 11, and that gets me 137.5. Okay, and then I subtract non-shaded from shaded, so 350 minus 137.5, and that gets me 212.5 centimeters squared. Okay, so number 8, so the entire thing is a semicircle. Okay, the non-shaded is a triangle. Okay, semicircle is 1/2 pi r squared. Okay, again, I do not have my radius, but I am capable of finding it because this is going to be a right angle. So I got to use Pythagorean theorem. So that's going to be 9 squared plus 21.6 squared is equal to c squared. Okay, I'm just going to do that in my calculator because I think y'all are okay with Pythagorean theorem. So I get 23.4 is equal to c. Okay, well, that's not the radius. That's the entire length. So this is 23.4. So half of that is going to be my radius, which is going to be 11.7. So I have 1/2 times pi times 11.7 squared. Plug it in my calculator, and I get 215.03. Okay, then my triangle, 1/2 base times height. Okay, my base is 23.4. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to use the two sides that create the right angle. So that will always be your base and your height. So that's going to be 9 times 21.6. Plug it in, and you get 97.2. Okay, again, subtract the non-shaded from the shaded, and you get 117.83 meters squared. Okay, and then the very last one. Okay, so my non-shaded is a trapezoid, and then my shaded is a trapezoid, my non-shaded is a semicircle. Okay, my trapezoid is going to be 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. Okay, my height is going to be, again, I have to use Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to draw in my height actually right here. So then to find it, I'm going to do 25 squared. Sorry, that's my C. Okay, so 37 minus 17, this gets me 20, so it's going to be h squared plus 20 squared is equal to 25 squared. Again, I think y'all are okay with Pythagorean theorem, so I'm not going to do that a million times. So h gets me 15. Okay, so area is equal to 1/2 times 15. One of my bases is 17, the other base is 37. Okay, plug it into my calculator and you get 405. Okay, then the semicircle. Okay, well the height is 15, so half of that is going to be 7.5. So that's 1/2 pi r squared. So 1/2 times pi times 7.5 squared, and I get 88.36. Subtract those two, and you get 316.64 inches squared. Okay, so sorry for the length of the notes, but that is it for today, guys.